All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and on Twitter. And thanks for tuning in. It's weird. I was getting a lot of views on Twitter on my shows on Twitter, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm getting about the same number of views on Twitter. Anyways, but it seems like people are watching on Twitter, so I appreciate that. Thank you for doing it. All right, man. As usual, lots going on. Steph C sent me a really good video. And I've been watching this video or listening to this video all morning. I'm not going to post that here. It's Chris Martenson speaking with Brett Weinstein. A really great, just very lucid video about the state of the planet and peak oil and energy and fertilizers and where we get all our food from. And I mean, it's, these two guys have a lot on the ball, and they are talking about these subjects very coherently. And I really recommend it. As I was listening to the video, I just was thinking like, oh, I just need to chop up a bunch of clips from this. And that's what I may do. Unless somebody does it, by tomorrow. It'd be awesome if I found a few clips of this by tomorrow. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate you sharing it out. I may, if I can cordon off the time in my schedule to make a few clips of this video, I will, and then maybe bring them back and talk about it tomorrow. I really enjoy Chris Martenson and his intellect so much. He's really on the ball, and he really knows quite a few things about what's going on in the world. So I suggest you follow him and take a look at his work. One of the few people out there who's calling out, the inadequacies of our regulatory bodies and our healthcare systems and what they're trying to push on people, and also calling out the power structure and what it's doing, and also understands that climate change is an actual thing, is a real thing, and that overshoot is a real thing, is an actual thing. That peak oil and peak energy is a real thing, an actual thing, and can discuss all these things scientifically. So it's really worth a listen. Okay. From Just Collapse, corporations wield too much power over governments. Is this why climate change is not being addressed? Well, yeah. And to go back to what I was saying about Chris Martenson, it's like, I've said this, I say this over and over, and apologize if I repeat myself so often. But there's so many people on particular political spectrums that just, and this is one of the things they covered in this video, somewhat from a peak oil, from a climate change, peak oil, environmental destruction thing. It's like, I think it was Brett Weinstein who was saying people fundamentally do not understand what is going on, and while everything is falling apart, they will be, this non-understanding will be used to basically, take your money from you. Well, a lot of people are going to make money on the fact that people do not understand what's going on. And I try to say this. The reason why I repeat myself so often is because I don't think people hear. You guys hear me. But I don't think people on a wider scope hear what I'm saying or understand what I'm saying. And that is, there's the ideological siloing, and that goes for the people that are telling you the truth on the all the alternative news folks who are in a silo, who are in an information silo, and are repeating things that are not true because it adheres to their particular dogma. There's blind spots in every silo. You got to get out of the blind spots. On the on the liberal side, it's like, yes, climate change is real and big oil is bad, but big pharma, great, they love us and they care about us and they want what's best for us. Okay, that's fundamentally dumb. You don't have a full grasp of what's going on the planet. Sorry. And you have to do better. You're going to have to do better, and that's why I'm talking about the things I'm talking about, because I'm trying to bridge the gap. If you go listen to Chris Martenson, you will be informed in a way that will help bridge the gap in your thinking. Okay. So, and then on the alternative news side, there's people that are like, big pharma bad and, government bad, but, fossil fuels great, big oil, what's this climate change? That's all false. Okay. That's fundamentally dumb. Fundamentally dumb. Okay. Again, go listen to Chris Martenson. There are a few people out there who understand, what's going on all these fronts. Chris Martenson is one of them. I suggest you start there. Or continue to watch this show as well if you're confused about what's going on in the world. That's fundamentally dumb. Big oil is the same as big pharma. They don't care about you. They want they want to rape the planet for profit. They don't, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have people like Elon Musk who are kind of like, again, siding with the whole freedom. Okay, I like freedom. Everybody likes freedom. Everybody wants freedom. But, you just can't just say a blanket word like freedom. We're freedom-minded. Okay, yeah, we want freedom, and we want people to make intelligent decisions and be allowed to make those decisions in an informed way. Great. But when you put out misinformation under the guise of freedom, you're setting people up for bad outcomes. And that's, kind of what Elon Musk is. I don't know if he's, there's a big eyebrow raise to whether he really believes in freedom or really cares about your freedom or not. But, we'll assume that he does. But he's just mouthing the words that all the alternative, all the freedom-minded people are mouthing, which is, overpopulation is a myth, and the earth can, and I'll play a clip, the earth can contain or sustain 10 times more people. That is just absolutely wild-eyed lunacy. And not based on anything. And that's, my problem with the truth community is that they have a really great time. They do a really great job using data and evidence to back up most of what they say, but when they get to climate change or overpopulation or some things, they just say these things without anything to back it up. These are just things based on belief. And you move fluidly between belief and data, and you're mixing these things together, and people just swallow the whole thing like this is just truth verbatim. Or I can just throw out data and evidence at any moment because I believe in God, or, or I just don't think so. Okay, that's not data and evidence. If you're going to cite data and evidence, and that's going to be the reason why you believe something, then you got to stay there. You can't just jump ship. As soon as something doesn't line up with your belief system or your silo, your ideological silo, you jump ship just because it's just, I don't think so. Okay? That's just not how it works. All right. Anyways, the reason why climate change is not being addressed is because why? Because there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money being made in the system that we live in already, right? And you don't want to change the system. You don't want to change the system because then you don't have control over it anymore. You want the system to keep going on. And we're going to tinker around the edges here and there, but basically we want the system to go on as always and forever. And, this is how the people in power keep their power. And so, oil companies are way, way more powerful. The oil industry and the oil basically runs everything. It's in our food, it's in our medicines, it's in everything that we do. Plastics, cars, everything that we do. Every single thing you touch is made with oil. Okay, this is way bigger than pharma. Way bigger than any other industry. It's ag is pretty important. I'd say big ag is up there. But let's say they're all locked in. They're all locked together. Big oil, big ag, big pharma, all of it's locked together. All of it is one thing. And they don't want you to understand what's going on because they want to continue with the control and with the making of the money, right? And with the system that we have built up that is just so amazingly huge. If you took the oil away, there would be no system. That's how big oil is. So when you hear people say fossil fuels, it's not really a thing, and peak oil is not really a thing, and emissions aren't a thing, you're listening to somebody who fundamentally doesn't understand a very basic concept, and you should probably question why that person is telling you what they're telling you. And if the answer is maybe just pure stupidity, well then, I don't know where you're going to get your truth from. Evidence indicates governments are prioritizing the national security risks of peak oil over climate concerns because without oil, food systems fail. Of course. Why? You could probably guess that that's why we're doing what we're doing in the world right now. Why this Hail Mary pass to the end zone of global control? Why we're going ham, absolutely ham, or preparing to go ham in the Middle East? Why we're even contemplating taking on a couple of nuclear powers at a time? Why the war industry is just run amok? And again, this going for it. Why? Because they understand this entire thing is built on a thing called oil, and which you're not going to replace with renewable energy, not in the near future. And so those who control the lifeblood of this civilization are going to be in a much better position than those who don't. And I don't think anybody's throwing around the words share, right? Or, share the rest of what's left, cooperation with other governments, around the world, in order to maybe sustain um, a, 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 a cohesive, logical path forward where we slowly walk down the ladder of an oil dependent civilization. I don't think anybody's throwing around those words. I think most of the words that are being thrown around are we need control of those oil fields. How are we going to get it? Those are the conversations that are being passed around. And that's what's happening. And that's, unfortunately too, what a lot of the truth community is missing is like, geez, there's kind of a big element here. I mean, and they're not missing it completely. They kind of mention it, but it's like, it's hard to mention it and not upend your belief system that climate change is all a hoax and there's nothing wrong with the burning of the fossil fuels. Again, it's hard for me to say without laughing. But it's also sad because the fact that very intelligent people have been duped by this message just because it's fashionable is really frustrating. Jesus Christ, it's frustrating. DB Cooper tipped me on Rockfin. Happy Monday, rain and snow tonight. Nice. Thanks, DB. I appreciate it. This is a post from Chris Martenson about Just Stop Oil, and which is kind of along the same lines. I'm glad that he's pointing out. I don't know. Sure, maybe Just Stop Oil is a front. Maybe it's funded. Maybe they're helped out by. Maybe their actions are just to piss people off to the point where they're just like, I hate these people. I don't know. Maybe they actually, I'm assuming they feel the way they feel because they understand the direness of the situation and that they feel like they need to do this stuff. Who knows? I'm just taking it at face value. But Chris Martenson does point out the level of ignorance on display here is truly stunning. But let's play along. We stop oil tonight. No more is produced. First question. How do we decide which 80% of the population should die of starvation? Let nature do her thing, or will there be a lottery? It is a fundamentally ignorant message. Even though I know they're trying to, they know that humans operate on understanding simplistic messages, on, boiling down your cause into like a slogan that you could just be like, yeah. It's easier to rally people behind a very simple idea than it is to rally people behind nuance and a complex look at something. But the reality is that we cannot just stop oil. And we're not talking about, again, Brett Weinstein is saying the fundamental misunderstanding of the situation and what needs to be done is keeping people in the dark so that they can just go forward into what? I don't know what. Driving the train into a brick wall. Driving, the entire, driving this civilization forward into absolute calamity. I mean, maybe that's, it sounds like a depopulation agenda to me. There is a depopulation agenda. It's called driving everything forward exactly as it is, which is allowing civilization to keep, squandering and vacuuming up resources hand over fist until there's nothing left and everything collapses. Yeah, sounds like a depopulation agenda to me. And if there is an agenda by the elites to actually depopulate the planet because they understand what's going on and they understand the brick wall we're about to hit, well, that really sucks, because wouldn't it be better to just inform people of what's going on? Wouldn't it be better to just give people the information? If you gave people information on like what's actually happening on the earth and what our future probably looks like, don't you think people absolutely would decide on doing the right thing or doing something that would help alleviate the problem? But if you confuse them, I mean, that's what they're doing. They're just like confusing the hell out of people about what is going on. Is it even going on? What's the actual problem? Give me 1 second. I see you. This is Vincent. Hold on, Vincent. I'll take your call in a second. If you keep people confused, then you can do whatever you want. And you can continue driving the train into the brick wall, making money all the way down. Anyways. But he's right. Chris Martenson is right. This is fundamentally an ignorant message. And I've said as much myself. Vincent, how you doing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I just kind of popped into your chat and
Sure.
kind of like what
Or you're breaking up.
What's so I just popped into your chat. I've listened to Chris quite a bit, and also the other chap you were mentioning, the biologist from Dark Horse. I can't remember his name at the moment.
Yeah. Brett Weinstein.
Brett Weinstein, yeah. That's right. Well, the gate theory. But no, it's interesting. I think I mostly agree with. I agree with a lot of what Chris and Brett say. To be honest with you, I mean, I disagree with them on some
Yeah.
things. I think Brett sometimes gets too involved in culture war issues.
Sure.
Chris sometimes, for me, gets because I have questions. I don't have answers. I'm not coming here to try and
Got it.
Tell you things. But so Chris, I agree with Chris a lot, and I looked into this peak oil thing a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
It was a sort of interest. I worked for a bit in the gas and oil industry.
Okay.
Was working on I worked for a company near a gas field that was basically expiring. It's still going, by the way, but it's long since gone over peak, let's say.
Right.
But and he's right. I don't disagree with him. I think what he missed and what a lot of us miss at the time was, yes, the sort of the cheap oil is gone. And I think that's what we're seeing now. And that's why we. And this is, I think, what he points out. I mean, oil won't go away, so there is some credibility to those naysayers who say that we'll never run out of oil. And that's probably true, but the expense of getting it, you can imagine. To make the analogy, is you can build a pyramid, but it's quite expensive. And if you haven't got oil and gas, well, you can still build it.
Yeah.
So essentially, energy will never go away. It's just the cost of it and the sort of human endeavor required. But the one thing that both of them. The one thing I sort of, and this is more of a question actually. So I'm not. So all this WEF stuff, I kind of think that's a diversion in a way, because there's a sense that they want to depopulate the planet. Let's assume that's true. And then my question is, well, why would you build mega bug factories to feed the planet? These two things don't reconcile easily. Because if you're reducing the population, well, you don't really need the bug factories anymore. There's more than enough farmland in a reduced population planet to go around. So there are a few things in that quarter of the topic that I haven't reconciled, or I've never heard a good answer to. So I'd be interested to see what you think.
Well, sorry, Vincent, you're kind of breaking up there, so I'm missing a bit of what you're saying. But I think you're saying that you don't think there's a depopulation agenda from the WEF. Is that what you're saying? Vincent? Oh, geez. Yeah. Hey, Vincent.
Lost you there.
Yeah, you're breaking up, man, and I'm gonna let you go, and but maybe you can call back in when there's like better reception or something. But thanks for calling in, Vincent. Sorry about that. I couldn't hear everything he was saying, so I don't know that I can really respond. Anyways, the Earth, Elon Musk, I mean, just said a whole bunch of just weird things, but mostly it was things that like all the quote unquote truther conspiracy channels all say. It's just basically he's just mouthing the words that you hear on all these channels, and so it'll strike a chord, and everybody will be, yeah. And this is one of those things that I hear a lot on some of these channels, and I'm like, based on what? Based on
Earth
what?
Could take probably 10 times the current civilization. But the population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So, but this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. But the population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest.
I don't. So he's saying you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest, but they've already been destroyed. I mean, not completely, but they're being, rainforests are being destroyed. Or being destroyed. They're being impacted, right? There's there's already a global ecological impact from all the destruction of the rainforest already. So I don't know how you can 10x the population and not impact the rainforest in a negative way. And he's just saying it. That this is my issue, and I'm actually upset at Joe Rogan for not even pushing on this a little. Not even pushing on this a little. He didn't even say like, hold on there a second. He was just like, okay. Like, dude. He's just saying this like it's just true. Well, based on what? Based on what? Based on your brain, Elon? Like your understanding of math and physics, and you're just proclaiming this to just be true. It's ridiculous. And again, it's unfortunate because a bunch of people are going to hear this. And again, a bunch of people that listen to like truther channels are going to hear this, and they're going to be like, yeah, what he said. But it's not based on anything. It is not based on any data or science. It's just based on your belief. And when you base things on your belief, you're not dealing in truth. You're not dealing in facts and evidence. You're just bringing forth something like, nah, I just don't think it's true. Okay. Okay. But you got to, just fundamentally, people need to understand this when they're listening to, people when they go off on stuff like this without anything behind it. Based on what? Usually I just want you to pay attention. I'm just going to tell you how to check. Like when you're listening to somebody or listening to somebody speak about something, they usually reference a source. That's called data and evidence. They usually reference a source or try to have some kind of source reference for what it is they're saying. This is why I like a lot of what RFK has to say. Some of it I don't like. I definitely don't like some of what he has to say. I'll talk about that today. But because he sources what he says, because he has data and evidence for the things that he's saying, he's not just throwing this proclamation out of the wind. No, it's just totally, no, it's just false. We could 10x the population. Based on what? Do you have data and evidence? Do you have a source for this? You don't. You're just saying this. That is not, okay, because he doesn't have any conscience in saying bullshit like this out into the world that everybody, people are going to go, oh, Elon Musk said. Because he doesn't have any conscience in this and pushing bullshit out in the world. And other people don't as well because other people don't have a conscience in it. So you have to do your due diligence. When somebody says something and it's backed with a source, then it's probably closer to the truth or has something behind it. But when people just say things, oh, that's just not true, or this is true, based on what? Then you yourself have to go, is this true? Where is he getting this from? Why is he saying this? Is this based on anything? Anyways, it's completely ridiculous that he said that. And that Joe Rogan didn't say anything, whatever. This is from Go Green. Shocking destruction of indigenous forest land for mining for electric cars and renewable energy should not be used to sustain an unsustainable economic growth. And is this the reason why Elon Musk is saying these things? Certainly. I can tell you that if you believe that there can be 10x the humans on the planet, that you're going to be way more willing to invest yourself in the system as we currently know it, to invest yourself in the future progress of humans, right? And creating more humans on the planet is going to be a good thing. We're just going to grow, 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 grow. If you believe that, because Elon Musk told you that's what needs to happen, well, then you're way more willing to invest in that. Instead of going, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't build out 1 billion electric. Is that why you're saying it? Oh. Think that one through. Anyways, uncontacted Hangana Manyawa indigenous people on video as bulldozers destroy their forest in Indonesia. Nickel mined from their land will end up in electric car batteries. Unless it's stopped, they'll be destroyed. And they'll be destroyed, probably, one way or the other. But there could be 10x the humans, and the forest will be fine, according to Elon Musk. The forest will be fine, because Elon Musk said so on Joe Rogan. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, Poppy, he didn't explain why he said that. By the way, I know you said it was a 13-second clip, but he didn't like go on and he didn't go on to back that up. I can assure you he did not back it up with any data and evidence. Okay. No, I listened to the entire interview, Poppy. Well, sorry. That's wrong. I listened to what I could stomach of the interview, but I listened to a lot of it. And the reason why I turned it off is because he said stuff like that and just was like, "Oh, totally. No." It was and with nothing to back it up. And he just kept on saying like ridiculous, "Oh, there's no radiation's fine." Let's keep going. Democrats have no idea how effed they are after supporting the slaughter of Palestinians. This is Cory Booker in New Jersey. His speech was just shut down by protesters who interrupted him after a few seconds, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Booker was taken by surprise and had to exit immediately. Yes! Way to go, protesters. Thank you.
America great. The power to protest. The power to have free speech. The power of America. Column A, all the way. Column A, all the way. Column A, all the way. Hey, all the way. I want to call out to everybody right now, these final hours, this is what's on the ballot. We should know in New Jersey how privileged we are.
And in Tacoma, activists are blocking the entrance of the port of Tacoma, where a U.S. ship believed to be carrying weapons to Israel is docked. Days ago, it was blocked in Oakland. The ship is currently unable to depart. Yes. Blocking a ship containing weapons from getting to Israel. This is beautiful work. And currently there's a lot of weapons and troops, weapons, armaments, etc., going to the Middle East. And you actually would be a sane individual if you're asking why. Why the sudden like jump to ramp up sending a bunch of weapons? Into the Middle East in anticipation for something bigger. Is that a foregone conclusion? Why, is that something? Oh yeah, we're definitely planning on everybody jumping in here and getting into a conflagration. This will be great. 17,000 U.S. service members redirected, nuclear submarines deployed, carrier strike groups, THAAD systems. The pieces are all in place for a wider war. He's reposting Liz Frieden. The U.S. has sent redirected over 17,000 military personnel, etc. and they are sending a few nuclear class subs to the region. This is from The Hill. U.S. guided missile submarine arrives in Middle East. U.S. has deployed a nuclear-powered submarine in the Middle East as unrest grows in the region amid the war between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas. U.S. Central Command posted a photo on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, of the Ohio-class submarine arriving in its area of responsibility Sunday, but did not share any other details of the deployment. The U.S. fleet has 14 Ohio-class submarines that can launch ballistic missiles and 4 additional ones that carry Tomahawk cruise missiles. In either case, a nuclear-powered submarine adds to a growing U.S. presence in the Middle East region as Washington fears Iranian-backed groups will seek to take advantage of the conflict and spark further turmoil. Reasons. The U.S. has deployed 2 aircraft carrier strike groups to the eastern Mediterranean, along with warplanes and hundreds of troops to deter any would-be aggressors. The American assets were dismissed last week by Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, whose forces control swaths of territory across Lebanon, which borders Israel. He said the U.S. forces would not deter him. But it has been said that the U.S. has long been wanting a reason to take on Lebanon or bomb Lebanon. And Antony Blinken made a surprise visit to Iraq over the weekend and warned any groups from escalating the tensions. Don't want to escalate the tensions. The attacks, the threats coming from the militia that are aligned with Iran are totally unacceptable. I mean, whether this is really happening or not, or whether they're, creating the pretext, and it seems like that's a big component of what's happening, is that they're creating the pretext for moving all these forces there and for, sitting around on a hair trigger, waiting for a reason to go ham. Exactly. Creative experiments. The USA is an expert of not escalating tensions. They are absolutely professionals at keeping everything calm and not escalating tensions. Exactly. And that should actually frighten the pants off of you. And me, to know that the U.S. is over there on a hair trigger with a gigantic arsenal at their disposal, just waiting. Did I hear that? Did I hear something? Did y'all see that? Was that an attack backed by Iran? Oh my God. We're going to have to go in there. Oh my God. So I did play this, just following up something somewhat positive about RFK with something incredibly negative about him. And this is going to, this does not make me feel good about RFK Jr. And his campaign is not long for this world if he keeps on this path, and I don't know if he cares. Bill Ackman, the guy that I played a clip from, which was actually encouraging, also did something incredibly discouraging, which was come out against, or make a statement on the anti-Semitism that was rampant on college campuses, right? And RFK Jr. says, "Bravo, Bill Ackman. It's time to hold college administrations responsible for the epidemic of campus anti-Semitism by insisting on zero tolerance policies." Wow. Brianna Joy Gray says RFK Jr. coming out in favor of sanctioning college students for their pro-Palestinian speech and using threats to their post-grad employment opportunities as a cudgel to silence them. This is discouraging indeed. And so this may be the hill that RFK Jr., that his campaign, the hill that it dies on. Because most of the things that he has to say are very, sound sensible to most people, especially people who have questions about what their government is doing or what the two-party system is bringing us as far as disintegration of our economy and society at large. He seems to have a lot of really just thoughtful answers, and then he you get to this thing and it's just it's bizarre, but and it probably will be a campaign killer for him. I'm just going to have to say that because I don't think that most people support this. Anyways, what's up, William? How you doing?
Kev, can you hear me okay today?
I can.
Okay. I think it's important to put this in historical context. Remember Ariel Sharon, the former prime minister of Israel? He stated at this point, okay, I put a link in the chat. I always back up with collaborating links, right? And so basically, you can read that. The thumbnail version is just saying very clear, don't worry about pressure on Israel. We, the Jewish people, control America, and the American people know it.
Right.
That comment, right? So in that regard, it's very important. I recommend people consider looking up retired director of U.S. Army War College, Alan Chabrowski, PhD, and his article, Unsettled History, Useful Abuse of the Holocaust. That gets weaponized where you can't comment, you can't criticize, you can't, you're anti-Semitic,
Right.
you see what I mean? Any present actions, not to mention he dives deep onto that whole prior narrative, which I'm not going to talk about because I know you're on YouTube, but aligning with Fetzer for you and I, you know what I'm talking about, right? So anyway, until people get a grip on this, now they won't be able to stand up and refute it. However, Amy Goodman did interview a former Knesset member. Do you remember Shulamit Aloni? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, Amy, people can look this up now. Amy Goodman, Shulamit Aloni, former Knesset member who won what's called the 2000 Israeli Cabinet Award. She was fighting for the rights of the Palestinians back in the day. And Amy said, well, when people try and criticize the actions of Israel versus Palestine, they're called anti-Semitic. And Shulamit said, oh, that's a trick. She said, we always use it. She said, in Europe, when they legitimate criticism of Israel, we call them Holocaust deniers. And in the United States, we call them anti-Semitic. And that, again, you can find in Archives Democracy Now! She went on to say, well, the Israeli party is very powerful in the U.S. government, and also the press, the media, Hollywood. You see, so there's a Jewish woman. Now, she was defending the Palestinians, and she's trying to say, we know this happened, right? If you want to criticize Israel legitimately, and people push back on you, oh, you're anti-Semitic, I suggest anybody in the audience, just quote Shulman Aloni. Put him right in the perspective. And what we're talking about here is a lot of even Orthodox rabbis and Jewish people who fight against Zionism. It's not
Yeah.
about Judaism. It's about
Yeah.
Zionism. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. And so, you know, the Orthodox Jews feel there should be no separate state of Israel based on the Bible, and that all people should be treated, of course, with love and respect. Of course, that's true. And so they are getting arrested, raided. The rabbis are being, there's recent video I've seen, Israeli News, who also goes on YouTube, but then he immediately gives you a link so he can do his thing on another platform. You see what I mean? He introduces his room, then bang, he tells you where the link is in the description. Israeli News. Consider him. I forget, he sometimes goes to Odyssey, and there's another platform he'll sometimes go to, but the link's always in the description. And that's where you hear the straight dope, no old barred. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because we all have to dance around this here, you know, which is
Right.
another thing preposterous. It just shows the abuse of the power. But anyway,
Sure.
I know. So thank you for taking the call, and I
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah, man.
and your
Yeah.
understanding. So
No worries,
Thanks
man.
again, brother.
Thanks for calling in, William. I appreciate you.
you're welcome.
Have a good one,
Bye-bye.
man. This is a video of Secret Service attempting to take down a stop attack on Gaza banner.
Loser! Shine! 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 You feel better? Shine! 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 Shine!
Yeah, just to, as Tim Bob was saying, they're gonna. Or is it Tim Bob that was saying this? Oh, it was. Sorry. Trying to look at all the chats. It's hard to look at all of them. They're going to go. Oh, Denver's saying they're going to go forward regardless. The government just doesn't give a toss what we think in this regard. No, no, they don't. They don't. They're just doing it. They're just they're they're daring somebody to get in their way. Basically, they're like, we're doing this. We're just going to go forward, and we're going to ramp this up. And we're just daring people to someone or something to stop it, which is frightening, incredibly frightening. But we'll see how far people allow them to go. We'll see how angry people get over this, and how much people want to shut things down in order to stop this from happening. I mean, I'm encouraged by the people that are blocking ships in the ports, by people confronting politicians over what's going on. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to make them at least a little scared if you can. And try and avert, a future catastrophe. I mean, I think they feel, I think they really do feel a little, they feel that their message is not one that is supported. They see people rebelling against this. They see the displeasure in this, and they see that they don't have the support. So if people keep the pressure up and the pressure on, it's going to be harder for them to get away with this. All right, guys. That does it for me. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't... forgot at the top of the show. Yeah, Osama and Rockfin said, mentioned this. I have a song released on my Bandcamp. Somebody hired me to do a Bill Withers cover. So I put it out, decided to put it out. So it's on my Bandcamp if you want to check it out. Or you can find the post on my Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Go check that out. And if you want to support the show, buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews, Cash App at Red Llama Music, Venmo at Kevin Sandbloom, paypal.me/Kevin Sandbloom, and Zelle me. You can Zelle me at kevinsandbloom@protonmail.com. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, peace.